IVM.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. As we go into God knows what week of the lockdown, we've been trying to make sure that we get as much content out to you as possible. We had some interesting episodes in the last week. Cyrus Says we had Angad Singh Ranyal on it. That was a fun episode to listen to. On the Filter Coffee podcast, we had Taslima Nasleen and Arunav Sinha on that. That was another great conversation. Karthik Srinivasan joined Varun on Advertising is Dead. And guys, look for Pratik Oswal on Paisa Vaisa podcast with Anupam Gupta. That was another great episode. I'd also like to let people know that the show that we're doing with Mr. Ashish Vidyarthi, Begin the Journey, is now going to be releasing 3 times a week. So do check that out. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. And let's get started with your show.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, your peak performance coach, life coach, emotional intelligence practitioner, and NLP practitioner. I'm also the founder of Abso Expertise Unique, and my organization constantly aims at building leaders across continents. After having worked with so many dynamic business honchos, entrepreneurs, startups, CEOs, management gurus, parents, and student communities worldwide, I am convinced that every individual has unleashed potential, and all we really need to do is realize it. Watch the magic unfold, enhance quality of life, relationships, and professions. On my show, be ready for some riveting conversations with inspirational people, snippets, stories, and much more. So here I am on this exceptional journey to find empowerment and inspiration anywhere I can. Come join me on this breathtaking path of self-realization, potential maximization, positivity, and most of all, embrace your inner power. You are on your way to empowering yourselves. Welcome to the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawalla. On today's episode, I'm in conversation with this young, dynamic entrepreneur and influencer. She is the founder and director of India's first floating restaurant called AB Celestial. This serial entrepreneur has been such an achiever, and she has featured on various magazines at special occasions, has recently also won certain awards. So please welcome with all heart and happiness, because I really find this girl to be very, very special, Aishwarya Bhende. Hi, Aishwarya.
Hi, Zarina. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be on the show finally. I've been looking forward to doing this with you for a while. So I'm so glad we made this happen.
I know, finally, right? We've been talking about it for a while, so I'm so happy. Only thing is that I've been telling everybody that has been coming on the show that the only thing we're not experiencing is the studio right now. But the rest is just the same. So I miss seeing you. That's one thing.
No problem. I think at least one good thing worked out and we managed to get this done from home. So bonus points.
Bonus points. So tell me, how's the lockdown treating you, Aishwarya?
Very honestly, as bad as this virus really is, it's only given me a chance to appreciate the finer things in life. So before the lockdown, I think all of us have this fixed daily routine and an agenda to work harder, to do things better. We've always had a set of goals that all of us have wished to achieve. But none of us have really had this chance to kind of take time out and reflect on ourselves because of this, the fact that we're always on the go. So this particular lockdown has really given me a chance to do things that I've never been able to the past couple of years, because it's I've either been caught up setting up Celestial or running it. So this time frame and social isolation has given me a chance to pick up where I've left off. So apart from really reading and doing a course online, which I recently took up, I've started playing the guitar and drawing again, because I'm pretty sure you know that music and fashion have been 2 things I've always been passionate about, growing up. So I've been doing that now. I mean, it's a stress buster as well, keeping me busy.
With the guitar and all of that, have you been somebody who's played the guitar in your earlier years? I'm not anyway too young, but did I say earlier years?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I used to play, and I've kind of picked up again. So it's quite interesting.
Wow, that's interesting. So, if we have time on this episode, maybe towards the end, you can just kind of strum something for us. That's just an extra demand that I'm making. Don't bother about it. like you said, you're doing stuff during the lockdown and things that you haven't had a chance to explore or take up from your bucket list earlier, right?
Yeah.
That brings me to the fact that AB Celestial is a very unique proposition, and it's something that no one would have imagined such a young and energetic and somebody so small to actually be able to pull something like this off. And this is quite the feat that you've pulled off, having a floating restaurant in the middle of the ocean. In a way, is something that one wouldn't have imagined, especially in Mumbai, right? We wouldn't have imagined that. How did you manage to do that?
So very honestly, something that I personally and firmly believe in, it's
Mhm.
innovation is what drives an entrepreneur. So basically the idea of Celestial really came up by being exposed to waterfront countries and extensive travel, to be honest, over the years while growing up. And there's something that I noticed all the time is people within Mumbai, tourists, like personally my friends and family, they always kind of picked going to Goa or Cochin, despite Mumbai being on the coastline, having a beautiful coastline. And I really saw an unexplored chance, like the opportunity to boost tourism as well as utilize our coast. Mumbai is also our commercial capital. And, honestly, it's the 14th most visited city internationally, which is amazing. And I felt like it was a need of the hour to do something different. The whole idea was, for me to kind of do something different. And I decided at the age of 18. So I was really young at that point, and I kind of just worked towards, doing something. So I kind of took on each thing personally. It was quite a challenge, but clearly paid off.
It has. To be honest, I mean, when I met you the first time, I was quite flabbergasted by the fact that such a huge port was owned and managed and run by someone like you. Not to stereotype, but the fact that, one wouldn't imagine. So, have you come across this situation where people have stereotyped you and possibly thought that, oh, you're the one who runs the boat? Is that so? I mean, is that even possible?
I mean,
Does that
that's
happen?
something that I get all the time. Every single time I'm out and I meet people, that's what they thought. Like when people look at me, they think that, oh, she looks very fashionable, and they would never expect me to come from a background of business. And I got that all
Right.
through. In fact, when I started at the age of 18, nobody believed in me. Like nobody except my parents believed that, okay, you know what, this girl can do it. So I actually took on every single thing piece by piece, coming to the fact that, I mean, personally, what I feel is a restaurant isn't just about food, and interiors aren't just about tables and chairs. It's the overall experience that counts. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
Celestial was like raising a child, like seeing it grow every single day and putting together stuff piece by piece. It's taken like 3 years to get, to start off and to where I am today. And people have always thought that, what, she'll never do it, because especially back in the day, very honestly, I have been petrified of math, and I realized that it's all about facing your fears.
Right. Right. And how did you overcome that fear?
I mean, honestly, it's just that I wanted to do this. So I kind of decided that, hey, this is the plan. I'm going to set my business plan and work towards it. And it
Right.
was challenging, but yeah, I mean, it's just about overcoming. When people tell you you can't do something, it's just about overcoming that and proving your point.
Mm-hmm. I completely get that. So you may have faced a lot of challenges apart from being called fashionable or too stylish to run your business. You may have had some genuine logistics and other challenges when it came to putting the whole boat together,
Of course.
right?
And I think one
So,
of the biggest challenges here has been doing the interiors. I mean, very honestly, people would misconceptualize that and say, you know what, you've got 108 licenses. How did you manage to do that? But I
mhm.
personally think that, okay, you know what?
108.
Yes, 108. As of today, as we speak, it's 108. And I mean, I
Oh,
know that's a large number, and I don't think anyone else currently as a restaurant standalone has those many permissions. But I'll be honest with you, at the end of the day, we all need a set of permissions to get, running. So, I mean, that was one part of it, but I would personally say it was the interiors, and maybe because I did the whole place up by myself. So that's something that I took on by
mhm.
myself because, like I told you, it isn't just about the food, tables, and chairs when you go to a place. It's the overall experience that counts. And I
Of course.
remember when I was setting up, I met a couple of interior designers, and we came to a point where they actually, showed me, apart from the designs, we came to like presentations, blueprints, 3D plans, all of that. And I felt that they never really envisioned the place like I did, or they never saw what I saw. Because when I saw Celestial, I wanted people to have this nautical experience from the time they walked in till they left, something that they
Mhm.
could take back home. So the entire place actually is currently like it's blue and white. We run like a color scheme, and everything is theme based. In fact, last year, like you said, we won the best theme based award. And that was the
Oh,
whole
you did.
idea. That
Oh, the
was my
theme-based
vision.
award.
Yeah, the best theme based restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I wanted to give people a chance who've never really visited a boat. I mean, not the ones who get to travel all the time, but the ones who don't get to travel, and, to give them an experience that they could really take back. So while doing the place up, I made 2 trips to China. And of course, currently China is the talk.
I
We
know
visited, so we visited,
for very different reasons.
I know, of course. So, all of you guys would know China now because of, like Wuhan, and previously because of Guangzhou and Beijing. So I'm just going to share this little experience. I visited a city called Foshan. And basically, it's a very small city, but it kind of thrives on exporting furniture internationally. So the entire city, everyone who lives there is based in the business of furniture. So I did 2 really long trips there. One was pretty much like a Reiki, you could call it. I was kind of, visiting manufacturers and seeing, different things that I could possibly enhance and, use in while putting together Celestial. So the second trip is where I actually got to purchasing. So my day would start at 7 a.m., end at 7 p.m. with endless number of coffees for like those 12 hours. And we finally got to, picking out wallpaper. So every single thing you see today on AB Celestial is designed and literally handpicked by me. Whether it's a
Wow.
wallpaper, whether it's an artifact, whether it's the cutlery,
Mhm.
crockery, everything. And it all runs in blue and white because it's nautical and it's like a color scheme. So it took about 6 to 8 months to honestly come together, like with the fittings, because of course, putting together a boat today, is very different from putting together a house. And we have like 4 different floors at the place. Like there's a cafe, there's a banquet, a lounge, as well as the sky deck. So it's quite large. It's like, doing 4 restaurants in one, like together.
And I have to mention the food is amazing.
Of course, we had a number of food tastings before starting, and even the names of everything is kind of designed and put together by me, from the names, the descriptions, all of it. So, like I
Right.
said, it's raising a child, and my whole idea was just to give Mumbai an experience and like kind of open up the waters for people to really do business in the Arabian Sea. So it's been quite an experience.
Yeah, I just think the whole concept, and moreover the responsibility and the ideation that you have taken charge of and actually executed is very, very intriguing, because like you said, for people who do not travel as often and who may not have seen the world in many ways, an experience like this can be quite life changing in a way. If you're getting your spouse or you're celebrating with your loved ones on
Actually,
a boat.
I think our maximum tables that go are for the couples, and Valentine's Day has
Yeah.
become a thing there. Before a month prior to Valentine's Day, we get sold out. In fact, 2 months prior, sometimes people call in and check. So, it's really like a romantic spot plus a birthday spot, and we've done so many fun launches, product launches, whether it's a car, whether it's a beauty product. So, it's really something that I'm really happy to see. Like Mumbai is really enjoying it, and the response has been fab.
That's quite something. How about the fact that under the current scenario and the crisis that we have faced, there could be a little bit of, an economic crunch, and possibly people in the restaurant business and something as big and lavish as yourself would see a certain kind of a fall in numbers. Is that a
Of
possibility?
course it is. Honestly, according to me and what I have noticed the last 2 months, it's not only hospitality. I think every single sector has taken a hit at this point. Of course, it's because of the lockdown and, the less cash flow in the economy. But I feel that some parts of the hospitality sector are still trying to, take that step forward and use the whole delivery option and takeaway, as an option to work. And like they are still running. But given the fact that it's not safe to, gather in large numbers and public spaces, and, the whole fear that has been now and, put in people's mind with the whole social distancing idea, it's going to continue. Like we are going to continue taking a hit after after the lockdown is lifted. But I think the best way that we can deal with this is we all have to learn to adapt. That's the thumb rule. Like we all have to learn to adapt this pandemic. And I think what we could possibly do is focus on our delivery segment and brand building, taking this time out at home, really focusing what we can do to run our operations smoother in the future, something we should all focus on doing. Of course, we are going to take a hit, but I think every industry will. Currently, we're in a really bearish phase, you can say, but it will be bullish again. It's just a matter of time.
I completely agree with you. But a lot of people aren't able to see things as positively as you're
Of
seeing,
course,
Aishwarya. So,
yeah.
can you kind of tell us how you're keeping yourself this positive or optimistic about the future?
Okay, very honestly, I came across a quote the other day. I came across something that I read, and it was called, it goes like, we can build a better world from ashes of self-destruction. And that kind of grew on me because if you really go to see, Zarina, I think as a world, we've been through so much in the past. Like we've overcome a terrorist attack, subsequent market crashes, and today we're dealing with the COVID-19. And in today's day and age, if you really go to see, we have a cure to just about everything. I mean, nothing really lasts forever. As we speak, I'm pretty sure they're testing out a number of vaccines. So we just need to take each day as it comes. I mean, think positive, take each day as it comes and work towards how we can do better. I mean, in terms of hospitality, like I said, focus on the delivery part. And once the lockdown is lifted and people slowly start moving out, the cases decrease, the first priority of ours should be to strengthen the confidence of, people to really dine out again.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, sanitizing the venue would be key, doing health checkups for our guests, our team members itself, and, safety precautions, I mean, required as well as in the kitchen. So, I think that, time really has a way of coming to your favor. That's something that I have learned in my journey while setting up Celestial 3 years, that when I had breaking points and I had obstacles coming my way, that, I just kept moving forward because in the end, things did get better. It's just about having that little faith in yourself or in, the situation. Because see, it's not India that's dealing with it or it's not hospitality. It's everybody fighting the same battle.
That's true. That's so true. And I think some part of the fact that everybody is in this together can be slightly comforting or pacifying, that no one is dealing with this alone and just by themselves. Not as an individual, not as a country, is the entire world in this together. And that is something that can be slightly, cushioning for now.
Of course, I mean, that's the only way to go at this point. We all have to join hands and just work towards it. And
yeah, completely. And this thing you said about time, Aishwarya, so I have a thought process on time myself, if I may share.
Of course, I would love to
I
hear.
personally feel that, time doesn't do anything. It's just that with time, we start healing ourselves. Time is not really the factor. It was what it was, it is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But in the whole process, as human beings, we become so resilient and we are so determined to survive that we find a way to heal. So it's not really that time will heal us, but I think we know how to heal ourselves with time. It's just that something that hurt you, like a breakup which hurts you on day one, won't be that painful after a year. It's because you have grown out of it. You've moved on. And that is the beauty of human beings. We're so...
And that's what we really need to do right now. I mean, sorry, but I personally feel that's what we really need to do. We need to really keep going because like I said, we've faced so many things in the past. We just need to use this as another obstacle to overcome. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just like a little bit, I mean, it's going to teach us something in the future.
Right. What is the biggest obstacle you've probably faced, Aishwarya?
While setting up? Was it like in terms of...
It can be personal, it can be professional, up to you. Or both, if you like.
Well, my biggest obstacle with Celestial was having people never believe in my business model. Like, I mean, it's whether it was family or friends, apart from my parents, I don't think anyone believed that I could do it, because it is a large project, and of course there were many things to it. So I feel Celestial was one of the things.
Mm-hmm. But don't you think that success is sweeter when people shun you off, or they don't think, or they don't believe in what you do? So when you actually rise up and you realize what you have been capable of, it just makes it all feel so much sweeter and so much nicer. I don't know, that's the feeling I get. I think we all have faced that moment.
I mean, one of the things that people thought was, you know what, she's not from hospitality. She can't do it. She's so young, and, she doesn't have a business degree in hospitality. And I personally feel that, Zarina, that doesn't matter. Because, I mean, having a degree is great. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. It's very important. But at the end of the day, that is a man-made boundary or limitation we put on ourselves, like, hey, I don't have a degree, I can't do it. I feel that you set a business plan and you work towards it and you're golden. I mean, out of experience, that I would like to tell people this. Like, it's not important that you have to have a degree or you have to be the best of the best, top of your class. It's just about, believing in yourself, and you can overcome absolutely everything. People would tell me that, even today, I feel even today when I'm actually at a conference and speaking, I'm just like, oh shit, like, I'm not from the hospitality industry. But at the end of the day, I feel that today those things that I have learned on the job, it's something that I could not learn, from a piece of paper or a book. It's something that I've picked up. And I've always been that kind of person that likes learning things every single day, because success is something that's found in one's daily routine. So while running, whether it's a daily operation, recruitment and employees, kitchen, my store, it's just a new thing. I take it up as a new task or a challenge.
That's very well said, Aishwarya. Success is
found in one's daily routine.
Absolutely. I second that. I second that thought completely.
And we all are going to have breaking points. I mean, it's not the age factor that matters.
Yes.
I think that whether you're 18 or 28 or 38, you're all going to have that breaking point, but it's just about moving forward.
Yeah. So that is one suggestion you would give to people out there, that you need to keep yourselves onward and not kind of stay stagnant and just be in that moment and just stay there and pretend like there's no way forward.
But I'm quite curious to ask you a question, though. I mean, you've had a number of people that have come on the show with you. You've spoken to entrepreneurs, startup companies at different ages.
Mm-hmm.
What are the qualities that you see that are important in one, like especially being an entrepreneur? Or say setting up a business?
So for an entrepreneur, in my opinion, there are certain qualities that just should be part of your default personality. And if you don't have them, I think you can train yourself to achieve those things.
I mean, you're a life coach, so we should all come to you for that.
I feel, Aishwarya, one of the things is courage. If you have the courage to just kind of, run towards that dream, that purpose, that passion, whatever you may have with life and whatever you are putting yourself to at a certain point in time, especially with entrepreneurs, if they have a dream and they want to start a sustainable business, etc., etc. Courage is one of the things that really, really holds people together. I think another thing is, when I watch transformational leaders, I feel extremely happy. It just makes me feel like the world is getting better and the leadership is getting better. Because what are transformational leaders? They're leaders who are growing other leaders. They are people who are willing to give you a listening ear. They're compassionate. There is companionship and compatibility in the whole process of leadership. And when I see businesses or entrepreneurs using transformational leadership as part of their business protocol, it makes me extremely happy. And the other thing is knowing when to take risks and kind of hedging your risks and knowing that, because I think at all times, an entrepreneur should, even if they don't know what's next, they need to pretend like they're in control, because that's what's making their employees feel comfortable and secure, even for a moment, So I think an entrepreneur needs to have the vision to be able to hedge their risks really carefully and give their people that feeling of stability. So these are the things that I usually find very attractive in the new kind of entrepreneurship that I see around me.
No, but I personally think that's great, especially given the scenario we're in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, to make sure that other people, you need to make sure that other people are going to feel safe. For example, my employees or, people I'm working with. It's really important. So I would really, I mean, I take that into consideration.
So sweet, because I mean, just look around us. If I've got clients who are entrepreneurs running businesses, now some of them seem like they're in charge and they're in control. Some of them are losing their top in this whole situation, and I completely understand, because it's money at stake, it's people's jobs at stake. So there's a lot at stake here, but at the same time, that's the whole power an entrepreneur has, to make it seem like things are okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I just said that, you need to strengthen the confidence in people at this point.
Yeah, and
Whether it's your customers or whether it's people working with you, your team members or the people who are going to come to you. If you don't do that, then I don't see, I mean, then you're definitely going to take a hit. And I think that would be a bigger hit in the long run.
I know, right? Because that's what I've been telling people. I had one of my clients who spoke to me recently and said, how do I break the news to my employees that, payments may be slightly delayed or so and so and so. Now, I said, if your team is a small one, a good way of doing that is actually making them a part of this conversation, not just telling them what you're going to do next.
No, absolutely, because it's here building a family. Like I said, like when they're working with you, it's building a family. Especially when Celestial was in place, it's like you're raising a child and at the same time you're growing a family. So, I mean, that's absolutely what I would second here or go by, that if you don't, if you're not transparent enough to, really talk it out, because I mean, this is what we're all facing together. I think a large number of businesses today have kind of laid off. Their staff and employees, or then they have a delay and crunch in payments, but I think that's the only way of dealing with it.
Right. And I think employees also are in a position and a situation where they understand where you're coming from. So you need to understand where they're coming from. And
It's really a domino effect,
it
I could
is.
say. I mean, everybody's just yeah.
So as long as you can hold yourselves together, and this is a very good testing period, it's an acid test for you to understand what kind of leadership you have and what kind of employees you are breeding for your organization. Because if you guys can stick together through this and make it work, you're going to go on for a long time.
Yeah, that's very true. No, that's very, very true. It's like a testing
Yeah.
period. So I don't think we should really take this as a negative. We can see positives out of the whole COVID-19 as well, because I think everybody's mindset is just on the negative pathway. But I think everything has its negatives and positives. We can use this time and really see how we can, do better from it.
So, since you're talking about positives, Aishwarya, what's that one positive or maybe more that you take out of the situation?
I think personally here it's an early warning, I think, for the future. So we kind of can prepare ourselves and shelter ourselves for, the future. That's one thing that I personally feel that, we can learn from, grow from, and then move forward.
Right. That's an interesting one, because, to be honest, it's good that you've kind of raised this particular point, considering how we've been dealing with ourselves and taking everything around us for granted, especially our climate, our nature, environment, all of that is.
I think it's the little things we take for granted. I mean, right now, the first thing that we spoke about was, how are we dealing with ourselves during this lockdown?
Uh-huh.
So I think it's basically somewhat that, like, we really need to take this as a positive, that we've got the chance to kind of do better after the lockdown, and we've used this time to really reflect on ourselves, learn. So in the future, I mean, we know how to tackle such a situation.
Right. I agree completely.
Zarina, what I would really want to know from you, that after the lockdown is lifted, how do you think the market would look like? Not hospitality in particular, but like in general. Do you see us picking up immediately, or do you think we take a little while and then, slowly pick up?
I personally have this feeling, and this is my understanding of the market, especially Indian markets and worldwide also to some level, Aishwarya, that markets will pick up really fast. We're not going to be in an economic slowdown as much as we're anticipating, because people are waiting to get out of their homes. So we may have learned better while we are indoors, as in look after nature and whatnot, like all the lockdown lessons that we are kind of reflecting upon. But as soon as this ends and as soon as it's safe, the restaurants are going to be flooded, the malls are going to be flooded, coffee shops, people will have coffee like they've never had coffee before in their lives.
So do you not think, won't people be cautious after, the whole lockdown is lifted? There is a lot of fear in people's mind. So,
There is, but I'll tell you what, I just personally feel that we're a combination of psychologically different thought processes all over the world. If you notice that everywhere there are people who are seemingly abiding by rules or taking care and taking precautions or being scared. And then there are also people who are breaking rules all over the place. So I don't see that changing very soon. I don't see people who have been silly in their approach becoming smarter suddenly. However,
no, but I do agree. I do agree with you there that, our current culture and our current lifestyle is the kind that are so, they're so used to the whole mall culture, movie culture, going out, eating out. That's something that's very hard to break. So, 50% of me does feel that, yes, of course, people will be out and flooded again the second the lockdown's lifted. But at the same time, I feel that could be extremely risky. Just so that we don't fall back.
It will, but the fact is that, to be honest with you, if you want my understanding of this way this is going to go, I personally feel that up till the end of 2020, we're going to be in and out of these social distancing and measures and curfews and lockdowns in and out.
No, but that's actually something that's really great. When you ask me one positive of this, I feel that this situation is it's great that we learn social distancing.
Exactly.
It's very good that we learn it because it's going to teach us in the long run as well. Like, what if something happens again? We're already protected. We've learned that, this is how we can overcome it.
Correct. And Aishwarya, there are researchers which show us and scientists who have claimed that this is one of the many pandemics that is hitting the world. So, which means that in the near future, maybe not immediately, but in a few years from now, again, we might come across a situation like this. And at that particular point in time, I think your thought process will come into play where people will be way more prepared and way more ready. But as of 2020, I think more or less we're going to be in and out of this situation. Certain days we will have threats around us. There will be stories of something coming up as a positive case here and there. And so people will suddenly be holed up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you said, that maybe this is in and out. It's not like we've not suffered from this or the world hasn't seen it in the past. We did have that whole SARS, the wave a couple of years ago. And it was pretty similar to the COVID. And the WHO has just not called it the COVID, part 2 or the SARS, is COVID part 2. Like they've not called it that. But of course, it was very similar. So, it's not like we've not dealt with such scenarios before, like I said.
Yeah, but it's not unlikely because I personally feel the human functionality is such that we have long-term memory and then we also have short-term memory. Come 2021, we might be able to just suddenly move out of this with all human spirit and suddenly be like, everything's back to normal, everything's great, and live the normal life.
Like it never happened.
Like it never happened, because humans have the tendency of making that happen for themselves, Like you mentioned, we've gone through certain attacks in the past, and although there's been something that has happened at the railways, the next day you've seen the like they call it.
There's always a downward curve and an upward curve in a graph.
Correct.
So, it's the same with our economy. It's the same with our lifestyle. We just keep going. There are going to be downfalls, and then again we're up.
Yeah,
so,
and I
that's
think
the way we need to take this.
That can really pull us through this, to be honest, is a lot of courage and positivity, because even if entrepreneurs and people who are running big businesses keep good amount of positivity in them, they will be able to get through this. See, we anyway have to get through it, whether you're positive or not. So might as well do it right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Right. You've asked me a couple of questions, Aishwarya, I have to say. It feels like you're taking my interview now. So let me get back to asking you something.
No, Zarina, there's so much I want to know from you. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you this now. We're coming to the end of our episode, and it's definitely one of the things which is on my mind. But before that, what is the advice you would give to our listeners?
if your dreams don't scare you, then they definitely aren't big enough. That's been my success mantra, very honestly. And I would love to tell all of you that keep going. No matter what you want in your life is achievable with the right amount of focus, effort, and action. So I feel it's just about how you execute it, how you execute your business plan. So right now, I would say this is the perfect time that when you're spending time at home during this lockdown, just work towards it, because time is luxury. You're not going to get it back. So just use this time well and really work towards what you want to do. Like, what is your next step, whether it's in business or any scenario.
That is so inspirational. Thank you. I think that's amazing piece of advice our listeners are getting today. And coming to the last question for this evening. Aishwarya, since it's the Empowering Series, I'd love to know from you, what empowers you?
Wow, that's a very, very, very big question. There are so many things I would like to say to that. But to be honest, as a woman, I would start with what empowers me is to be independent and to be able to pursue my dreams. To have a business model that's different from others and working towards my goal, watching them all come together is what really empowers me. That's definitely one of the things. And secondly, I would say, Zarina, what empowers me, maybe when it's my business or my workplace, would be customer satisfaction. Because I've spent so much time and effort really setting up Celestial from scratch, being able to see it grow day after day and getting a really good response, being able to work with these companies, like, for example, whether it's like these giants in the industry. In the past, we've worked with tech mammoth like Google and e-commerce denominator like Amazon, YouTube, and in recent times, we just worked with the NBA when they were in India for the first time for the games. So seeing customer satisfaction really come from all of it, honestly, is what really empowers me to work harder, to do better, and really, maybe set up something new. So basically, that's what really empowers me.
Oh, wow, you left me speechless. That is quite empowering, Aishwarya. Quite empowering.
Thank you.
So on that note, I just want to say thank you so very much for making time and sharing these amazing, amazing thoughts, because that was very positive and that was rather quite motivational, because I think in these times people lack motivation, and getting such lovely thoughts and lessons from somebody who's in business, who knows the stakes, who knows what's at stake here, it really means a lot, to hear it from somebody as insightful and valuable as you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. And I want to tell all my listeners that do not judge a book by its cover, because this little book is feisty, fiery, and extremely dynamic as a businesswoman and a person, and such a true force to reckon with. I really, really am so proud of you. All the very best, and keep doing the good work you're doing, Aishwarya.
Thank you, Zarina.
If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Story Sellers for personal stories, analysis and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.
Beta, did you know 79% of all scientists in NASA are Indian only?
देखो, इंडिया में टैक्स सिर्फ मिडिल क्लास भरती है. Everyone is just enjoying free यार.
आजकल के youngsters are only interested in partying and enjoying. उनको देश की पड़ी ही नहीं है.
बेटा तुम बस शादी कर लो, उसके बाद तो you can enjoy life like anything.
I will tell you what this country needs. This country needs 15 years of dictatorship. That is the only way to become a superpower. See the Chinese, how much they've progressed.
सुनो, तुमने ये WhatsApp forward देखा?
So what's common between all of these statements?
They're all absolutely rubbish.
Fake WhatsApp forwards that spread like wildfire.
And statements that defy any logic.
We are here to debunk them all.
Way of family WhatsApp groups, worst nightmare. Where what happens when you read a book.
Basically, we're just a bunch of guys who want to cut through the bullshit of everyone saying this, how it won't be true.
So that the next time someone confidently squeezes out some WhatsApp or Twitter BS, you can look them dead in the eye and go, Uncle, please sit.
So join me, Joel.
And me, Tushar.
Every Mondays for a fresh new episode of Uncle, Please Sit.